The next morning, Elijah woke up before dawn. For the first time in years, he woke up smiling. Not because life had suddenly become easy, but because he finally had something to look forward to. An opportunity, a chance, a door. Carlos was still asleep when Elijah carefully gathered his documents from an old plastic folder he had protected more than anything he owned. His degree certificate, his transcripts, years of sacrifice folded neatly into a few sheets of paper. He wore his best cloth, the same cloth he wore to every interview. It was worn out. That was the only responsible dress he had at the time. Before leaving, he looked at Carlos. "Pray for me." Carlos opened one eye. Future office worker. Elijah laughed and went on his way. The company was even bigger than Elijah imagined. Glass walls reflected the morning sunlight. Luxury cars lined up the parking lot. Employees walked confidently through the entrance, carrying laptops and coffee cups. For a moment, Elijah felt small, very small. Then he remembered his mother's voice. "You are a good man, Elijah." And suddenly, he felt stronger. Hilton welcomed him at the entrance. "My brother, Hilton, you came early. You know me." Hilton laughed. "Come on, my uncle is waiting." Mr. Bassi sat behind a large mahogany desk. He looked exactly like the type of man who would build companies, the kind of person who could see through excuses immediately. For nearly 40 minutes, he questioned Elijah. Software development, programming logic, databases, problem solving, system security, network architecture. Every answer surprised him. The young man sitting before him clearly knew his field. Years of unemployment had not stolen his knowledge. Finally, Mr. Bassi leaned back. "You've been unemployed for almost 5 years?" "Yes, sir." "And yet, you still remember all this?" "Knowledge is all I have left, sir." The older man stared at him, then slowly smiled, a genuine smile, the first one during the entire interview. "When can you start?" Elijah froze. His heart stopped. For a second, he wondered if he had heard correctly. "Sir," he stammered, "when can you start?" The room became blurry. Tears suddenly filled his eyes. "Tomorrow, sir." Mr. Bassi nodded. "Good." Outside the office, Elijah nearly collapsed from happiness. "I got it." Hilton laughed. "You got it." The two friends hugged, then hugged again, then laughed like children. After years of darkness, the light had finally arrived. His starting salary was 150,000 francs CFA. To some people like Hilton, it wasn't much, but to Elijah, it was life-changing. It was more money than he had seen in an entire year, more stability than he had known since graduation, more hope than he had dared to imagine. That evening, he called his parents. His mother answered immediately. "Ma pikin, wetin happen?" "Mami, I don't get work." Silence. Then screaming, loud screaming, the kind where neighbors could hear through the walls. "You don't get work?" "Yes, Mami." "Permanent?" "Yes, Mami." "Salary na how much?" 150,000, Mami. Mrs. Ngi began to cry uncontrollably. After years of watching her son suffer, she finally heard the words she had prayed for. Then she handed the phone to her husband. For several seconds, Mr. Ngi said nothing. Then finally, "I dey very proud of you, my boy." Elijah closed his eyes. Those words meant everything. The following months were beautiful. For the first time in years, Elijah rented a small room. Nothing luxurious, but it had a roof, a bed, a door, privacy. He felt rich. Every month he sent money home. His parents worried a little less. Hope grew like a flower after a long drought. At the office, people quickly noticed him, not because he talked a lot, but because he worked hard. He arrived before everyone, left after everyone, never complained, never gossiped, never caused problems. And among those paying attention was a woman named Vanessa. Vanessa was one of the company's secretaries. Beautiful, confident, stylish. The kind of woman who attracted attention without trying. Many men openly admired her. Most would have done anything for her attention, but Elijah barely noticed her. Not because she wasn't attractive, but because his focus was elsewhere. His parents, his future, his responsibilities. Love could wait. One afternoon, Vanessa approached his desk. "Hello." Elijah looked up. "Good afternoon." And then she smiled. "What are you working on?" "A database issue," Elijah responded. "You always look serious," Vanessa teased. "I have serious problems," Elijah said, and then she smiled. "I'd like to know more about you." Elijah nodded politely, then returned to work. Vanessa waited. Nothing. No questions, no flirting, nothing. Eventually, she walked away confused. Weeks passed. Vanessa became more persistent. Coffee invitations, lunch invitations, friendly conversations, small gifts and compliments. Everyone in the office noticed. Everyone except Elijah. Or at least that was how it appeared. Eventually, she became frustrated, very frustrated. One evening, she decided to confront him directly. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." "Are you gay?" Elijah nearly choked on his saliva. "What?" "You heard me." For several seconds, he searched for the right words. Then he answered carefully. "God forbid. Why would you ask me that?" "Never mind," Vanessa said. "Do you find me attractive?" Which man in his right senses wouldn't? "Of course I do," Elijah responded. Her eyes brightened. But immediately he said that, her smile faded. "But what?" Elijah sighed. "Right now, I need to focus on rebuilding my life." Vanessa stared at him. "So that's it?" "Yes." "You don't want us to be together?" "I'm sorry, Vanessa." The rejection hit harder than she expected. Much harder because nobody rejected Vanessa. Nobody until Elijah. The following week, strange things began to happen. Files disappeared. Emails went missing. Reports were altered. Mistakes appeared under Elijah's name. At first, he assumed they were accidents or mere coincidence. Then complaints started arriving. Management meetings, investigations, warnings, questions, suspicions. Slowly, carefully, someone was setting a trap and Elijah had no idea. One Monday morning, he was summoned to Mr. Bassey's office. The atmosphere felt wrong immediately he stepped into the office. The HR sat beside him. Several documents rested on the table. Mr. Bassey's face looked disappointed. "Sit down," he ordered, and Elijah obeyed, his heart pounding, nearly leaving his chest. Mr. Bassey pushed the papers towards him. "Explain this." Elijah looked and his eyes widened. Fake emails, unauthorized transactions, deleted records, complaints from everywhere, all linked to his account. His stomach dropped. "Sir, I didn't do this." The HR shook her head. "The evidence says otherwise." "No," Elijah stood abruptly. "No, sir." Then Mr. Bassey looked away. For the first time since meeting him, he seemed genuinely saddened. "We investigated thoroughly." "But sir," Mr. Bassey interrupted, "the decision has already been made." The room became silent. Then came the words that destroyed him. "Your employment is terminated effectively." Everything inside Elijah shattered. And just like that, Months of hard work, months of hope, months of progress, gone. The nightmare had returned. As he walked out carrying a small cardboard box containing his belongings, employees watched silently. Some looked sympathetic, others avoided eye contact. Vanessa stood at the reception desk. Their eyes met briefly, and for a minute, Elijah noticed something strange. Not sadness, not surprise, satisfaction. A tiny smile, and then it disappeared. But it was enough. At that moment, he knew she did it. He had no proof, but deep inside, he knew she was responsible. And somehow that realization hurt even more. That evening, he sat alone beneath the bridge, exactly where he had started, exactly where life had found him months earlier. Carlos arrived shortly after. The moment he saw Elijah's face, he understood. No, Elijah nodded. Carlos sat down slowly. They fired me, Elijah said. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Elijah finally broke, not quietly, not gracefully, but completely. Years of frustration exploded out of him. Years of rejection, of hunger, disappointment, years of fighting, years of hoping. He cried until he had no tears left. When the crying finally stopped, darkness remained, a darkness deeper than anything he had ever known. That night, he called home. His mother answered. Immediately she answered the call, she sensed something was wrong. "Ma pikin." Elijah could not speak. "Elijah," she persisted. Still silence. Then she heard him crying, and her heart broke. The news devastated his parents. His father became angry, not at Elijah, but at life. "This makes no sense," his mother cried hysterically. Neither of them had answers. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Elijah stopped looking like himself. He stopped caring about his appearance, stopped caring about food. He stopped caring about what tomorrow holds. The spark inside him was dying, slowly and painfully. One rainy evening, he touched his beard with his hand, and then his hair, staring into the darkness, and made a promise, a strange promise. Until something good finally happens in my life, I will never cut my hair again. A tear rolled down his face. The wind carried his words into the night, and somewhere beyond the darkness, fate was quietly preparing the most unexpected chapter of Elijah's story. The weeks after Elijah lost his job, everything felt like a nightmare he could not wake up from. Every morning he opened his eyes, hoping the previous month had been a bad dream. Every morning, reality set in, cold, cruel, unchanged. The small room he had rented was gone within 2 months. Without a salary, he could no longer afford rent. Once again, he found himself beneath the bridge, beside Carlos, the same bridge he had once promised himself he would never return to. At first, Elijah continued searching for jobs. With his few months' experience working at one of the biggest tech companies in the country, he had some leverage. Hilton also helped him plead with his uncle not to write a bad recommendation, considering how he had left the company. That could destroy him for life. Misfortune seemed to follow him everywhere. One company promised to call him back, but they never did. Another offered him a position, but the company suddenly shut down before he could even start. A third invited him for an interview, but the hiring manager died unexpectedly the week before. Every door opened slightly, then slammed shut again and again, until eventually even Elijah began to fear opportunity, because every opportunity seemed to bring fresh disappointment. Months turned into years. The vow he made beneath the bridge remained. He never cut his hair. He never trimmed his beard. At first, nobody noticed. Then people started talking. They started staring. His beard reached his chest, then his stomach, then lower. His hair stretched past his waist. then his knees. It became part of his identity, part of his suffering, part of his story. One afternoon, Carlos watched Elijah untangle his hair. "Mon frère," he said, "you dey like you comot na Old Testament no." Elijah laughed weakly. "At least that people they be to hear from God." Carlos immediately regretted the joke. The sadness in Elijah's voice was impossible to miss. As years passed, something inside Elijah began to shift. The optimism that had once defined him slowly disappeared. The cheerful graduate who believed hard work would eventually pay off became a shadow of himself. People who met him now could hardly imagine he was once a software engineer. All they saw was a tired figure wandering the streets with unusually long hair. And slowly, the community began creating stories about him. Children pointed at him when he walked by. "Look, the hair man." Others ran after him. Some laughed, some mocked, some were afraid, but the rumors continued to spread. "He is mad." "No, I heard he is cursed." "My uncle said he used to be rich." "My aunt said he escaped from a mental hospital." Everybody had a story about him, but nobody knew the full truth. Meanwhile, far away in Bamenda, his parents were growing older, much older. Life had not been kind to them either. Every year, they watched their son drift further away from the person they knew. Every year, their heart broke a little more. Mr. Ngi struggled. The poor man who had once dreamed of seeing his son succeed now spent most evenings outside the house, thinking. One evening, his wife found him staring into the distance. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Elijah. He will be all right." Mr. Ngi shook his head. When? The question hung heavily between them. Neither of them had an answer. As years passed, the stress slowly began affecting his health. His blood pressure worsened. His energy disappeared. His smile became rare. Elijah stopped picking his calls. His mom tried countless times, but he was completely lost. He was no longer searching for opportunities. He had stopped trying and simply wandered from street to street, from market to market. His hair continued to grow longer until it became impossible to ignore. People traveled from neighboring towns just to see him. Some took pictures, others recorded videos. And though the entire town knew his face, nobody truly knew his pain. Nobody knew that behind the legendary hair stood a man who had completely lost hope. A man who no longer believed life had anything good for him. But destiny was not finished with Elijah, because somewhere in the city, a woman was about to notice what everyone had missed. The fact that behind the tangled hair and broken appearance, there was still a brilliant man waiting to be found.